What we wanted the career mode in Dirt 2 to feel like was you're a new off-road racer. You know, you're joining this world of touring the world, competing in off-road race festivals. We wanted it to really feel like you were becoming part of that world. You know, so it was opening up in front of you. You were meeting people. These people are, you know, people that you know are superstars in the field. Real characters: Ken Block, Travis Pastrana, you know, extreme sports stars like that. And more than just racing against them, you almost build relationships with them. How you get on with them determines whether they invite you to another event, whether another location opens up to you, and that way, I think you really feel like you're progressing within this world. You start knowing nothing, and as you move around the world, you accumulate souvenirs and possessions that litter your RV. You make friends with stars until ultimately you're competing in the X Games, you know, which people know and understand from the real world, and which is a finale for the game, if you like. I don't know. I think that there will be some people who aren't fans of the X Games, but I know Colin was a fan of the X Games, you know, because he competed there, and that, like I said in the presentation, that competition in 2006 between him and Travis, it's a really key visual reference point for us when we were making this game. You know, it conveyed all the things which I think are great about the way off-road racing is going these days. You know, it's a really modern sport. It's populated with, you know, cool, young, up-and-coming stars. It's played out in stadiums, in really spectacular arenas rather than, you know, country roads. And I think visually and in terms of, you know, what the player does, those are really, really cool things to base the game around. I mean, we've still got lots of rally content in there, which would, you know, which would do the Colin McRae Rally series proud. You know, that's the heritage of this series, if you like. But there's also a lot more to it as well. It has a more all-encompassing, broader approach to off-road racing, which means we get to include variety in the game. We get to include the 4x4 truck, you know, the Dakar-style rallying. We get to include trailblazer racing. We get to include rallycross and all those things that make Dirt what it is. This is the third generation of our Ego technology. You know, it started with Dirt. It was enhanced with Grid. It's been enhanced further with Dirt 2. You know, so you can see the generational gains that we're making in terms of fidelity, in terms of performance, in terms of the effects that we can throw around. And we demonstrated today how cool our night lighting is, how amazing our particles and our water fluid dynamics are. There's lots of stuff that we were able to layer on top of the technology which was, you know, critically acclaimed when we released Grid last year. But the other thing, which perhaps people don't mention quite so much, is that along with the technology which has matured and is now, you know, really class leading, we have the programmers, the engineers and the artists, you know, who are now so skilled at using that technology, and they are really squeezing the best out of it. And that's, I think it's the combination of those two things that means you see such a good looking racing game. And with regard to physics, you know, there's a lot of great new work that's gone in this year to make sure that the cars handle as realistic. A lot of work's been going into the weight transfer of the cars, so that when you apply the brakes you really feel the inertias. The way our tyre physics work has been completely revamped, and that has a massive effect on how the tyre interacts with the different surface types that you find in an off-road racing game. And I think you'll agree, I mean, if you have a chance to play it yourself, I think you'll agree that in terms of car handling and physics, it's certainly made, you know, a huge leap forward from the original Dirt. There's a fair amount of dirt, yes. There's a little bit of concrete in there. There's mud. There's loose gravel. Those are the ones that you and I would recognise just from looking at. If you asked you know, the guys who do our car handling and do our track design, you know, they'd tell you that there are actually lots and lots and lots more surface types that you'll find in there for all the very different types of ground textures you find around the world. But to you and I, those are the big ones. No rain or snow. Again, things that we looked at to incorporate, as we always do when we start a project, a big list of things that we want to do. And we evaluate each of them and say, you know, how much is this going to bring to the game, how much is it going to cost, what's the bang for buck with this. And you know, with weather effects, rain and snow, those are things which we would have liked to have done, but they weren't as important as some of the other things which made the cut. And that's always the way of games. Absolutely, yeah. We can't do everything just now. We'd have nothing to do next. It's completely unique. All the content for this title has been created for this title, so you're not buying anything that you already own. With the exception of one track which actually makes a surprise reappearance, this street circuit in Shibuya in central Tokyo was a tracking grid, and we've changed it a little bit, but we've brought it in, and it now forms a rallycross track, which is really cool. Yeah, you can do, and there are also shorter versions of these tracks and longer versions of these tracks. I think that the best thing that we've done in our presentation of Rally for this game is actually showing stagger starts. In real Rally, you know, a driver goes, there's a pause, the next driver goes, and we've followed that model in Dirt 2. In previous Rally games, it was just you against the track, and it could be quite a lonely experience. That's not the case. In Dirt 2, you see the guy disappearing into the distance in front of you, you know there's a guy hard on your heels, you know, and that creates a bit of pressure. It shows that you're racing against real guys and not just, you know, computer making up time. And for me, you know, that's how we've moved Rally forward, because we're still looking to innovate with it. If you choose to, you can also choose that everybody goes at once and is just ghosted. But for me, the fun of doing rallies online is doing stagger starts and everyone being in that queue while they wait their turn to go. And there's banter, and you can use your horn, and there's a bit of gamesmanship going on there. And then finally you get your chance to go out and prove what you can do on the track. Throughout the game, you'll be asked, you'll be required to upgrade your car. So while you can take one car, let's say the Subaru Impreza that you get given at the start of the game, you can repurpose that car throughout the game for pretty much the majority of events in it. You can buy a kit which will adapt it for Trailblazer, and another kit which will adapt it for Rallycross. And as you progress through the tiers of the game, you'll be asked to upgrade it, so that ultimately you're driving a much more powerful, much faster car. But fundamentally, it's still the same car. It's still the same car you've been driving, and it has the same characteristics. Beyond that, for the enthusiastic car fan, we're allowing you to set up the car before every race. A lot of people, that's not their cup of tea, and we totally understand that, and you don't have to do it. But if you do want to do it, you can really start to squeeze extra tenths of a second out of point-to-point routes or circuits by changing gear ratios or altering ride height. And that, I think, is going to come into its own online, where you've got a bunch of like-minded online players who are just trying to squeeze that extra tenth of a second out. Absolutely. And we're changing that for this game. And we're really pleased that we have, because playing it in the studio, we've been doing a lot of playtesting. It's clear that I think one of the strengths of this game is in its online component. And the coolest thing we've done is not place any restrictions of what you can do online. You can race in any car, you can race on any track and in any game mode. It's really up to the player how they set it up, what rules they impose, and that way you can have a lot of fun. And I think the longevity of the title is going to come from that flexibility. It's unlikely to happen, and you can certainly set up rules that means that you don't allow that. But I don't think the tools are deep enough to allow that radical a change. It's still all about the driving, it's all about your skill on the track. Absolutely, and there's a number of big racing titles coming out this autumn, so we're really pleased with the slot we've got. We worked really hard so that we could hit it, and now we're in the relatively luxurious position of being able to sit back with the code complete, the game out there, and we'll see what happens. I think whatever happens, we're really proud of what we've created. We're really confident that it's strong enough to exist with the big boys.